I was up on the side of the mountain one day, watching the sheep, and there was a bush, and it was on fire. But there weren't any ashes. It was not being consumed, it was just burning. And from that bush, I heard this voice that somehow I knew was the voice of God. And it cried out, "Moses, Moses." And at that moment, I had to make pretty close to the most important decision of my life. I had to decide either to run away from that voice or to say, "Here I am." And somehow, by the grace of God, I said, "Here I am." I'm going to go back and talk about that again in a little bit, because I think maybe what happened to me, I think maybe that happens to everybody. Well, anyway, I said, "Here I am." And it turns out that my people had been crying out to God all these years from their slavery, and God told me that He had heard their cries and He wanted to deliver them from slavery. He wanted to deliver, get this, all of His people from slavery. That's kind of an important concept. But He wanted to do it through me. Well, I had killed an Egyptian. I'd been born in poverty. I had run away, done kind of, I guess, the cowardly thing. I didn't really know how to do anything anymore. Yes, I'd had an education and I had a lot of stuff, but I'd been watching sheep for a long time. You probably weren't aware of this, but I had a speech impediment at that time. I couldn't even speak. Not very well. And God said none of that mattered. He'd take care of all that. I said, "I just don't think I can do it. I just can't do it." I mean, I had excuse after excuse after excuse after. I'm so glad none of you are like that. But boy, I had excuses out my ears. And God said, "Well, what is that in your hand?" And I said, "A stick." Well, I know. I'm the one that wrote this story, okay? So the way I wrote it was a staff. That sounds a whole lot better than a stick. But you and I both know that a staff is just a glorified stick, right? I said a stick. God said, "Throw it down." I threw it down and it became a snake.